Okay, we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. Starting out with the roll call, please.
Trustee Birchie?
Here.
Trustee Covington?
Here.
Trustee Harrod?
Here.
Trustee Montez?
Here.
Trustee Sierra?
Here.
Vice President Hill?
Here.
President Johnson?
Here.
Thank you.
Moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, could we get approval of the minutes? Of February 12th? Yes.
So move.
I'll second.
Question? Roll call.
Trustee Birchie? Lost one. Okay. Trustee Covington? Here. Aye. Sorry. Trustee Harrod?
It's my trick.
Trustee Harrod?
Aye.
Trustee Montez?
Aye.
Trustee Sierra?
Aye.
Vice President Hill?
Aye.
President Johnson?
Aye. Motion carries. Staff reports. Executive Director.
Good evening, everybody. Several announcements tonight. First, looking backwards, I want to celebrate and thank everyone who participated in the Black History Month performance last week at Proctor Recreation Center. Janelle and her team and the kiddos did an amazing job. We are working on a video of that, thanks to our donor who provided a donation late last year for us to upgrade our video equipment. We are working on figuring out how to get it out of the camera and into the cloud because it's really technical and fancy. As soon as we have that, though, we'll send you a link. I do have a photo album that I will also share with you, but the kids were absolutely amazing. I also wanted to remind everybody and make sure that everybody looks at the executive director link under my staff report for the Bradley Park sculpture mold PDF. There are some photos there that were provided by Preston Jackson and Joy Kessler. The sculpture is on its way to the foundry. So it will be several months now as it goes through that process, but this was a big step and that they have and milestone that they've met. So we are continuing to make progress and we thank them for their efforts. Looking forward, I want to, first of all, mention to everybody that the board meal tonight was provided by our food and beverage manager at Peoria Zoo. And it is the meal that is an example of the kinds of foods that will be provided starting on Saturday with our Glow Wild Lantern Festival. Some of us were over there today for a committee meeting, and it is in the middle of the day, it was a little overwhelming. So at night, when it's lit up, it's going to be absolutely magical. You do have your passes in front of you at your seats if you have any questions about those. Please note that that event will run every Saturday or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday beginning March 1st. So beginning this Saturday from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. And tickets are available online with a discount if you purchase in advance. We have begun the hiring process for our seasonal employees. We do have an upcoming job fair on Saturday, March 8th that will be held at Proctor Recreation Center. And we want to take this opportunity now for Miles, see if you can click through for us. He's going to share our hiring video, a commercial that we're going to play. And the note before he hits play is that everybody in this video works for the Park District and the voices too. So we're very proud of the effort. Annie and our marketing team for that work. As we talked about with the flyer, all the photos are of people who work with us and are part of our PPD team. That's the case for that commercial as well. Also on that Saturday, March 8th, we are excited to be able to invite people to a walk to celebrate International Women's Day at Forest Park Nature Center at 2:00. That's $5 per person. And we hope people will be a part of that experience. While it doesn't necessarily feel like it outside now because it's fall spring number 2, right? It is still winter, but you couldn't tell that certainly by the effort that staff is putting into preparing for what is going to be a jam-packed 2025. As we talk through our strategic plan, we'll talk more about those efforts, but things are really ramping up and we look forward to kicking off the really busy year of programming that we have planned with Glow Wild. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I don't have any questions, but I do have a few comments. Piggybacking off of the Black History Month program, excellent. Always love it. It's my favorite program at Proctor Center, and a bit biased here, probably in our Park District inventory. But to see those young people, Mr. Johnson was there, Steve was there. I mean, they were so passionate. One young lady like slammed her hands down and the table collapsed, and that was totally accidental. But they just shined, and so I was really excited about that. So I definitely have to say thank you to Miss Janelle McLeod. But I also want to go a step further and say that I appreciate the intentionality that Miss McLeod has with her staff. She's been allowing one particular young person who was a former colleague with me at my first job ever, Jalen Jenkins. She's been allowing that young man to thrive and take ownership in Proctor Center. And that intentionality is exactly what creates the next generation of leaders. It is just humbling to see that we have just so intentional staff, especially at Proctor. So I just wanted to say thank you to Ms. Janelle and congratulations to Jalen. I'm extremely excited for him. Moving forward, this is the last meeting of Black History Month. And so, being at that program, it made me realize Mr. Johnson, myself, and 2 other individuals, including Mrs. Janelle, took a photo, and we literally have Black history here at the Park District. I mean, Mr. Johnson is a great example of that. So I just love that we're able to bear witness, but also celebrate that as well. And then lastly, the hiring video, we weren't able to see that in the DEIA committee. That was a bummer because Jenny, and I told you this at our last meeting, I was talking to Trustee Hill about you, and you understand the assignment. You've heard a very clear directive to create an enhanced storytelling aspect, especially around our marketing materials, especially to hit on the diversification of our park district, not only from our programs and offerings, but also our staff. So congratulations, it was beautiful. Thank you, President Johnson.
Yes, we would be amiss too, though. And speaking on that, I want to say Scott Loftus. I know it seems like I'm always speaking on you all the time, though, but I saw you there as well. Not just for Black people, but it does me good when I see people that are not look like me, that's part of the Park District staff, and they show up to those type of events. That goes a long way with me. I just want to say thank you for participating and being there. Brent was very good about that. Emily, of course, is to, what's her name over at the Lakeview?
Angela Martinez.
Angela's very good, about those things. Jennifer, I just want you guys to know I do appreciate it when I do see you at other events that we do in the Park District. And it sends a message. Some of you might not understand that, but it sends a message to our community for everyone to know. And I just want to say thank you, each of you, for those of you that attended that program. All right. Okay. With that being said, the Finance Committee need approval of the accounts payable.
Right, Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee has examined the Finance Committee of the board as a whole has examined the bills that were attached as a part of our agenda materials and reflected in the materials attached under 7A to the agenda of this board meeting. And on behalf of and we move to recommend that the board pay those. So as chair of the Finance Committee, I move that the President and Secretary be authorized to issue orders for payment to the treasurer on those amounts shown in the agenda materials.
Okay,
Second.
question? Roll call?
Trustee Birchey,
Aye.
Trustee Covington,
Aye.
Trustee Harrop,
Aye.
Trustee Montez,
Aye.
Trustee Sierra,
Aye.
Vice President Hill,
Aye.
President Johnson.
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, post-travel reports. Trustees attending the 2005 IAPD conference. Post-travel report memo, I guess it is. Is there anything on there we need to discuss or anything? Or
President Johnson, I just have one clarifying question. So I know the intent of this is to ensure that we get regular reports as it pertains to trustee travel. Most of this has surrounded around the financial component to the travel. Would it be most appropriate for this to live in the Finance Committee, or should this be coming to, especially since Finance Committee is a board of a whole now, or should it be coming to the regular board meeting?
I believe that the policy and the law requires that the board receive and approve the accounting from the conference attendance as part of the official record.
Got it. And could that be accomplished in the Finance Committee?
It lives as a board obligation.
Well, the Finance Committee is now a board of a whole.
It's not a board.
It's not a regular public, yeah, it is a
Be
public.
appropriate to have
record.
it in the formal board setting.
Got it. That's what I was looking for. Thank you for that, Kevin. Thanks, President Johnson.
okay. Is there a motion? Or do we
We do need a vote
To approve.
to approve.
approve it?
Yes, sir.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Move to approve.
Move to approve? All right.
Second.
Question?
I'm not quite. So we've got, one report was removed.
Yes, yes. I'm sorry, I had failed to receive, to ask trustee Montez for his receipts for reimbursement. And
From my
so,
perspective, it's our responsibility to get those to you. I
To
just
you,
want you to
I'll-
know that. It's not,
No,
yeah, and
I know.
I'm sure you
We're-
agree.
We're,
but
we're.
I don't
we
want you
were
to die on your
ar-
sword that way.
No, I'm not. We were arguing about that, so
Yeah.
he wanted to take responsibility as well, in all fairness. So I had taken that piece off, trustee Montez's off, and we'll place it on the March 12th agenda for approval for that reimbursement.
This-
And so now before you is President Johnson. So 2 trustees actually went to the IAPD conference.
Yes.
So is it the, are the receipts in there? I mean, I'm just not confused about what it's actually saying.
There are no receipts.
No, there would not be. Well, there will be on mine, yeah, but there, yeah, you will get those. I have those. I have them.
So maybe we should defer both of these?
Probably should, because there was a mistake in mine also.
Oh,
I
I'm
just
sorry, I
found-
didn't
yeah,
know.
there was.
didn't
I just
realize
didn't- I thought I was gonna discuss this in finance, but yeah, there was.
that. Oh,
And
okay,
we were,
okay.
So
if we could do that, that'd be, that's
Mhm,
okay.
Yeah, I didn't
That,
realize there was a
you need,
mistake.
motion to
Move to defer.
defer it, or just, can we just defer it without motion?
There was a motion to approve.
There was a motion, but
And
we went back.
second.
There was a second, but.
There was a second,
Was there a second?
but
There
if
was
he
a
wants to,
second.
yeah,
If someone wants to remove that motion, then it would be appropriate to defer it to the next meeting. Or simply remove it from this agenda and address both as a reading of this agenda item at the next meeting. It'd be whatever the chairperson's preference is.
well, either way, it's okay. with me. I can still go ahead and do
It's
this.
not a complete report, officer.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't
So
realize
that's my
there was a
concern. It's not,
mistake
it's
or
not a complete
anything on
report if
that
it's,
one.
if there's information that isn't.
So what's the proper process for us to take away the motion and move this one to the,
To the next
have
one then.
both reports together?
Correct.
Do it together, yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
So
So it's Steve.
How do
I'll
you
make
do
a
that?
motion to defer this item until
There's
the
already
next
a
regular
motion,
board
and
There's
second
a
meeting.
on the
motion
floor.
on the floor.
You have to
Okay.
remove the motion.
First.
Yes,
Okay.
withdraw your,
Can I make the motion now?
Yes.
I'll make the motion to defer this until the report is complete.
I'll second that.
Question. Roll call.
And then this, do I need a second for the deferral?
Joyce seconded.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I did not hear you, Joyce. Okay, trustee Burchett,
Aye.
trustee Covington,
Aye.
trustee Harrod,
Aye.
trustee Montez,
Aye.
trustee Sierra,
Aye.
vice president Hill,
Aye.
president Johnson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Strategic plan review.
so you have two documents attached to the agenda tonight. First, you have a 2024 strategic plan review. I hope you've had a chance to review this document. I do want to express sincere and like sort of amazed gratitude at how much the volume of work that went into this. When we developed the strategic plan for 2024, we all kind of looked at it and we're like, how are we going to do this? And as we work through each of the line items, you will note that there are very few items that carry over to 2025. So I do want to take just a second to highlight some of the big pieces. Our strategic plan for 2024 tracks with the 3 commitment documents to diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, environmental sustainability, and to vibrancy. So you'll see the layout of that tracks with that. So this work has been certainly a combined effort of staff and board through our committee structure and otherwise. In 2024, we were able to celebrate the opening of the fully inclusive Glen Oak Playground. We also completed the replacement of the slate roof project at the Peoria Playhouse Children's Museum. There were also significant improvements at Peoria Zoo tied to AZA accreditation, which was secured in September of 2024. That included development of outdoor spaces for our swift foxes, spider monkeys, and lemurs. We were also able to combine the Peoria Playhouse Be Anything event, which has been something that was created at the inception of the Children's Museum, with our worldwide Day of Play effort to really expand and enhance that experience for not only participants in the day-long event at Glen Oak Park, but also as part of the auction and our workforce development efforts across the district. So that is something that we look forward to continuing in 2025. You just saw the commercial. That was one of our targeted efforts to really celebrate and promote the diverse and vibrant opportunities that come with Park District employment. I also want to, as part of that celebration of the PPD workforce, express gratitude again to Brianna Cobb and Cody Haynes, who've led our team effort to implement learning management software that's housed within our Paycom time tracking system. And that allows us to do on-demand training, which means while I was on vacation last week, I could sit in my hotel room and watch training about like safe ladder use and things like that. It's actually really, really great, and it's allowed us to be much more efficient in our training of staff. We just completed our first round of annual training requirements for all full-time staff, and the response rate and participation rate is just outstanding. So we're really pleased with that, and we appreciate that as it makes us much more efficient and effective. As we look through, certainly in your DEIA committee minutes, you see the report efforts that are taking place from staff tracking our work with PPD funded contractors and suppliers. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on that, but certainly the robustness of that data tracking and the reporting that's happening there and the accountability that's taking place has shown, I think, real benefits in our work as far as really focusing in on and encouraging the use of PPD funded contractors and suppliers and their diversity. Our community workforce development in March, at our next meeting, actually, we will have Moonlight Coalition here to talk about some of their work. The Moonlighting at PIA Gift Shop will celebrate its 10th anniversary next month. So we'll talk about the role that we have in larger community workforce development. That's certainly a part of our strategic efforts, not only in 2024 and beyond. We have worked as part of our new ownership of the Springdale Savannah, we spent a great deal of time working on developing and implementing a management plan for the Savannah. That continues to be a work in progress, especially with new management there at Springdale Cemetery, and so we look forward to continuing those efforts. We've also because of the work done there and in other places with our emphasis on environmental sustainability, staff led by Matt Freeman, Jacob Cuban, and others were able to complete more prescribed burns in 2024 than we did in the prior 10 years combined. That's an amazing effort. As part of our environmental efforts and our education and interpretation emphasis, you'll remember in 2024 that we launched our Forest, with 2 R's, Bigfoot environmental awareness and anti-littering campaign. That will continue as well, but a lot of really great foundational work that's happening. We have made great strides in 2024 on our work to focus on energy conservation. We were able to approve the purchase of groundskeeping equipment for golf that included 2 hybrid gas and electric models. We were able to switch to battery and electric leaf blowers, string trimmers, and chainsaws. We were able to add electric utility vehicles for both the riverfront and zoo fleets. And as you will recall, in Q3, you approved the purchase of a fully electric delivery van, which is being used by purchasing staff to make inter-office deliveries. So we continue to make efforts with that. Our consultants we're finalizing that contract with Attorney Day so that they can get to work in 2025. We are, as part of our vibrancy effort, we were able to budget with your help and your support for 2025 to transition our volunteer coordinator from a part-time to a full-time dedicated position. And we're already seeing the fruits of that investment as we move forward and approach our Glow Wild event and making sure that we have volunteer support for that. Willie Howe and his team were able to complete a staff survey focused on technology needs. And so we are seeing the benefits of that and how we implement Microsoft 365 and the hybrid approach that we are taking to that in 2025. We also, I know that you had questions about, and we've talked about at length, some of the zoo stuff that continues into our strategic plan for 2025 through 2027. But in 2024, we did make significant strides with Becky's help with our zoo master plan, updated by Ace Torrey Designs. And in 2025, we begin the process of fundraising to support that. We've been able to really in 2024, with all of your help, we were able to focus in on thinking about and really being intentional with the work around safety of our community public events. We'll talk more about that later in this agenda. But really engaging the public with Trustee Herent's help and engaging and gathering community survey data, we've been able to develop. And in 2024, we were able to facilitate multiple events that we really felt were stronger than ever before based upon that work that we did together. As part of our inspirational work, one of our 2024 highlights is one that we talked about within our budget presentation, and that was the expansion and growth of our mobile recreation program. In collaboration with the Greater Peoria Family YMCA and under the leadership of Michael Dixon and Angela Martins and the recreation team, we were able to maintain a regular presence across 6 different neighborhood parks in underrepresented parts of Peoria. So there are lots and lots of things in this 8-page document. Those are just a few of the highlights. Before we move to 2025, I would love to be able to answer any questions that you may have about 2024.
No questions. I just want to applaud the staff and the board. This is a very active board, and this is a very dedicated and committed staff that rises to the occasion when this board asks for us to go a step further. In addition to that, though, the only group that I want to add, and I know Emily didn't not mention this group on purpose, but our DEIA committee, that is another very committed and intentional working group too. So I appreciate all the work that they do, but sincerely, thank you all for a successful 2024.
I would just like to also, it's when you read that and then listening to just part of it, it's absolutely amazing the intentionality and the accomplishments that have come forth in 2024. And it really is, it saddens me that at the federal level, there are government employees being ridiculed, mocked, and I know that has to probably feel bad when you're a government employee. So you guys are the best, and you knock it out of the park, and you do more than anybody could ever expect of you. So thank you.
Was a recreation thing. Any other questions?
brilliant, I didn't even realize that.
Your brain does that naturally. We talk about that all the time, that your brain just naturally like works those things into conversation. It's one of our favorite things.
I will chime in. Every time I hear good things about the Park District, it's always about the employees. And I do want to say, too, we had two elected officials involved this week, the IPD in Morton that we attended, and then also that Mr. Sierra also did a very good job downtown Peoria with across the aisle with several different elected officials that came forward, and there was a big crowd down with the Chamber of Commerce. But there was a comment made to me, an individual that is also going to be a new trustee on our board. He was going door to door, getting his petitions and things signed. And a couple of the questions that were told to him was that they asked him, now, are you going to come in there and try to change anything on that park district? Because it is a great park district that we already have. They said that to him. He shared it with some other individuals at this event. And then another guy chimed in, and they said, yes, Peoria Park District is a great park district. People from all over the state, as you may mention in Morton, they made the same comment that we are. And it's because of your work that you do. And I just want to let that be known. We talk about everything that's negative sometimes, but they do. People do admire representatives, legislative representatives also said that they appreciate working with the Peoria Park District and helping and the standard that you all have set. So we just want to say thanks to you and the board, because the board also as well, our executive directors. But I just wanted to let that know where people do talk about us in a positive way. So that being said, thank you. Okay.
So
are
can
you
I do
through?
the next
Yes,
one?
go
Yeah.
ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
So in response, and I want to stay at the outset before we look at our future strategic plan. We heard you, right? There was a conversation about how do we start to think about things more than a year at a time. And there has been hesitancy on our part, even if you look at our financials, right? We're still comparing ourselves to that pre-COVID 2019, and things have been pretty unstable, right? And so to think about things longer term has been something that's been difficult for us to do. As we look at what's on the horizon for us, though, it is the things that we were about to tackle together are big things that aren't going to be time bound by a 12-month action plan, right? They are big things that will really define our time here together in the park district. So instead of that multiple sheet spreadsheet action plan that I just reported out on for 2024, for 2025 through 2027, we have put together a proposed strategic plan that really focuses on 3 key efforts. And so, Miles, if you'll kind of flip through with me, flip through this one. I meant to show you the impact report. You've all seen that before for 2024. So we'll keep moving, but yeah. So there are 3 key strategic priorities that we want us. It's about the larger goal of capturing more golfers across our community. Thinking about those long-term strategies in golf that help us to reduce reliance on public water sources, and building a timeline and identifying funding sources for irrigation modifications and updates. Within the zoo and Glen Oak Park, we have been working, as talked about in the previous report, on a feasibility study. We have been working with Skystone Partners in addition to Ace Torrey to figure out just what is a feasible amount for a capital campaign. We'll be talking about that next month as part of some restructuring efforts that we are talking about and that we have talked about with you about the organizational structure of Peoria Zoo that will help us to support not only the capital campaign effort, but also effective collaboration and revenue generation for both the nonprofit support of Peoria Zoological Society and the larger zoo. We look forward to identifying and implementing opportunities to really engage people into Glen Oak Park as a day-long destination and not thinking about those spaces as separate entities from a public perspective, but how we can engage families across their different ages of their kids, their different interests. Will implement in 2025 Second Saturday programming, May through October, that will allow us to offer shared programming across the Playhouse and the zoo and Luthi on Saturdays, so that people come and spend the day with us. Within Owens Ice Center, we are working on the first steps of the selection of an architect engineer to help us to finalize our plan for reimagination of Owens. Certainly when we take the opportunity to modernize the physical ice plant, we also have to take that opportunity to modernize the visitor experience. That will help us not only with revenue generation, but the experience of the more than 200,000 people who come through those doors every year. So we look forward to working with you to consider the issuance of alternate revenue bonds in 2026 to help to facilitate and cover the cost of that effort. Really looking at how we work together to set expectations and goals for use of district bond issue and private fundraising and other sources to do all of these projects that will help us to really redefine and refresh portions of the Peoria Park District that are generally some of our highest profile locations. Our second priority is to establish clear and measurable expectations for district mission-driven efforts in all sectors. We also heard you here, right? We talk a lot about where's the data, where are the quantitative and qualitative things that we are using to make decisions, and that we can help to give you to help you make decisions as well. So we are working on and have begun the process of more regular subject matter specific meetings across our district's operations inventory that will help us to connect dots between different parts of our park district. It will help us to improve our internal communication strategies so that we are really working and pulling in the same direction. And we're also building a culture that helps us to encourage and recognize successes while also finding collaborative opportunities for dealing with challenges. In addition to that, one of our priorities is really to think about administrative procedure and policy. A lot of that is that institutional knowledge. For a long time, we have been a park district that says we've always done it that way, so let's keep going. That's certainly, there's nothing broken about what we're doing, but putting those things in writing so that they are easily accessible and searchable to provide direction, especially as we look at some of those generational flips that are happening across our organization, will allow us to make sure that we are being consistent in our operations, but also supporting our staff and our patrons as we build out that process and how we work to support our community. That ties naturally into our third priority, which is promoting our value to our community and to each other. We are in the beginning stages in 2025, and by the end of the year, we will have completed a CAPRA self-assessment that will allow us to apply for that accreditation at a national level to really show and provide credibility to the quality that we know exists within this organization in a way that people can say, oh, CAPRA accredited? Okay, I know what that means within the industry. We are also really focusing on software upgrades that help us to support our community with improved user access and transparency, as well as data evaluation and tracking. We look forward to continuing to expand our work tied to the learning management system that I referenced in 2024's review, and we will implement in 2025 a tuition reimbursement process. So that is an investment in our our peers and in our PPD team so that we can continue to improve the quality of the programming and efforts that we are providing in our community. So across those three priorities, ultimately our goal is to really focus those efforts beyond just our operational day-to-day churn on things that help to influence those things and make them better. Tied to these three strategies, with your approval and affirmation, we will work on an implementation plan that in some ways is already beginning as we think about the three commitment documents. We don't want to walk away from those. Bless you. So in addition to the strategy, you will see an action plan that is tied to each of the three commitment documents and the pillars that exist there that interweave with those three primary strategies that are presented here. So as we work through this together, we will continue to make that progress and have that available for you to provide feedback on in the coming days. Our work and our anticipated effort would be to continue to provide quarterly updates. A lot of these things are things we're going to be doing together, so we'll be talking about them much more frequently than that. And it'll be a blink of an eye before we are back here providing a year-end report on the progress that we've made together. I look forward to a conversation and just your thoughts on thinking about this in this way. This is really one of those quality over quantity things, because when we start to build this out, there's a lot here in 5 pages.
Can you remind me what CAPR stands for? I know it's.
Oh, I was afraid you were going to ask that.
Professional recreation.
Sir,
Park Recreation Association's the end, maybe.
it is, yes, it's the, hold on.
Certification.
Commission for Accreditation of Park and Recreation Agencies.
I do have, I think what you've outlined is really very focused, and it's sort of on target and sort of, for me, continues everything that we've been doing. So I applaud that. In the first part, we're talking about Glen Oak Park,
Mm-hmm.
and just 2 things to ask about. This past year, it's in our discussions about July 3rd, or for me, I've focused some of my thinking on Glen Oak Park being an anchor for the East Bluff. And is that so that engaging with the East Bluff community is in addition to just looking what's in the park, that so that we can, so I don't know if there's a way to incorporate that or it would be part of the implementation. And the second is the amphitheater. We've not had the funding to make the changes we talked about a number of years ago. And is that something that's part of your thinking, that if we're going to make it an experience for a whole day, that we've got a big piece of the park that's can't be used as well as it could be?
Yes. So first I would say, tied to the anchor for the East Bluff, we absolutely agree. I would argue that Glen Oak Park in a lot of ways is the anchor for everything that happens in our community.
Yeah,
Right. You think about how
I
it
would not disagree with that.
it reaches to the downtown.
Mhm.
It reaches north. It is one of those places that is a universal draw. So yes, absolutely. The work operationally to support the East Bluff Community Center development is not recognized here specifically, and
Yeah, I noticed
I will be glad to plug that in there,
Yeah,
and should have.
That'd be great.
Absolutely. To the amphitheater, we are absolutely still committed to that effort. We are trying to find those dollars and get those dollars committed. To me, my response is that what the biggest responsibility tied to that amphitheater is ensuring that it is integrated, as you just referenced, and not feel like a separate part of that park, right? One of the reasons that we initially, a couple of years ago, took that fence down and opened up that space was because it had operated not intentionally, right? But the lagoon and the amphitheater space sort of felt separate from everything that happened up top. And we want to try to integrate those pieces better. And certainly as part of our 2025 bond issue, conversations around the basketball courts and other things that are happening in that space, really maximizing the use of the whole park is a priority. So as we think about what that amphitheater reimagination is, programming wise, it has to fit into what we're talking about with the zoo and the playhouse and how we engage. And so, yes, that's absolutely, when I think of the park, I think about all those things. So I'll be more intentional in the language there and specifically call that out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions of Emily?
Not
Board members?
just a request, and this may not be reflected in this doc. Well, first of all, thank you. I know Tim and I have been like singing to the hilltop about a longer term strategic plan. So this puts a smile on my face, literally and figuratively. The one thing that I don't see reflected, and maybe I'm overlooking it, is community engagement. Have we considered about adding some sort of action step as to our intentionality with community engagement? I know last year we set a specific goal for trustees and you to do that community engagement alongside of each other. Is that in this?
It is not in this strategic plan. It is a part of our action steps because it is an operational effort. So it is not a part of these three things. It certainly could be a part, and we can think about ways to include that under number 3, promoting our value to our community and each other. So absolutely, I can add some different language, but certainly we thought about that as something that we're so committed to that it's not a strategy for building how to do it, it's just continuing to do it. So we can think about that language together, what that should look like.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it? Anybody else? Okay. Alrighty. Thanks, Emily, for that. And we are, we do have a lot, though, concerning with the Owen Center as well. What we need to do there, that's going to be coming upon us, and also with the zoo, Capitol Drive. So I appreciate you looking ahead and bringing those things to us. Now, the board doesn't have any other questions want to ask her concerning those issues right now? Okay, thank you. Alrighty. B8C, the Juneteenth drone fireworks conversation. Who wants to start that off with? Is that you, Emily, or is it Nick?
It's the Nick.
Nick, okay.
Good evening. There we go. Following board direction at the February 12th strategy meeting, staff solicited proposals for firework and drone light shows to be held on Thursday, June 19th at Glen Oak Park, based on the approved budget dollars for the event. Proposals were received from 5 vendors for the project, 3 for a drone light show and 2 for a fireworks show. So next steps, which is where we're at now, is staff seeks board direction on the type of evening entertainment for this event. And I'm sure there are lots of questions, so we'd be happy to answer those as we talk through the various options.
I have a question, and then it says, and I think there's just a typo in the proposal summary. It says proposals received by, but actually these are proposals received from these organizations, right?
That's correct.
All right. So, Mr. President, I have to say that ever since I've been a kid, fireworks has been a pretty exciting thing. But I've come to believe a more exciting thing are drones, the drone shows. And I think they are really cool. And I think they're where the industry is today. I think they are where the population is today. There's so much you can do with drones that you can't do with fireworks. It's also not lost on me the sustainability issue in the sense that drones don't leave behind the residue in the atmosphere that fireworks do as well. So I'm going to put this on the table. I'm going to make a motion that the board's direction should be to proceed with the drone light show, utilizing Chicago drone light shows at a cost of $28,000.
Before you make that motion, can we have discussion first on these issues? As to, I mean, I get what you're saying, but there hasn't been any. I want to hear what the other board members want to say about the drones. That's all based. And then we bring the motion. Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make that clear. And drones are. I've been talking to some people in the community as well. If that's okay. Yes.
We had reached out, we reached out to the Yanni group. Did we get any, and to some East Bluff?
So I received back an email from Pastor Hightower from the NAACP. He expressed interest in drones. I did not receive an email, but I don't know, Chanel, if you want to come up to a microphone. I just don't want to speak for. Chanel did talk to Yanni, and so I let her know before that she might have to come up to the microphone and just share the feedback
evening,
that she
board.
received.
Good evening, board.
Can you speak up, please, or is that?
Hold on. Is it on? Okay. Good evening. So I did speak with President of Yanni, Gregory Wilson. He also said that he is in favor of the drone show, and his reasoning was it's an opportunity for us to do some really cool things in the sky.
I like how that sounds.
The only other group was NAACP. Have we heard back
I
from
heard.
them?
Yeah.
I just
Oh,
heard back from
Marvin.
Pastor Hightower.
Oh,
Yeah.
they were in favor.
Yep.
I think it's a really wonderful opportunity to be innovative, and we're doing something for Juneteenth that nobody else is doing, and I think at a state level, we're probably one of the few park districts that are putting on drone shows. So I think, I love the innovation, I like the environmental part of it. I just think there's just a lot to like. I like the idea they can personalize it for the group. I think it'll be a big success if
Yeah.
you decide to go with the drones.
Yeah, I would agree. I think initially fireworks seemed fitting when we were talking about July 3rd. But given the ability to tell a story, I think the drones offer something that fireworks don't. And I don't want it to, I guess I also have concerns in terms of fireworks and the proximity it is to the zoo, neighborhoods. There's been, I don't know, I've heard a lot of stories from PTSD, how it affects humans, how it affects wildlife. And I just think this gives us an opportunity that I would be excited to kind of explore.
Yeah, great.
I just have one question, and I think moving to drones is going to be a good move. I just want to make clear that we're going to have a discussion then. Do we know what funding will be available for the rest of the event?
Do you want to talk, Nick? We're ready for this one. We talked about this afternoon, so.
Yes, great question. As Emily alluded to, we did discuss that earlier today. We will have funding for the event as an entirety, so it would not just be like a standalone drone show, come and see the drone show for 15 minutes. So again, this is all tentative, subject to change, and certainly with some collaboration with the various Juneteenth groups, hopefully on the horizon, that we would target an evening event that would be probably in the 5 o'clock till 9 o'clock range, which is when the drone show would take place, would involve certain children, family activities, not unlike what we did at July 3rd last year. Probably would not be to that scale because that was with a $15,000 budget. This would be more in the $8,000 to $10,000 range, which is what we have available right now. We would target entertainment on the stage. We would target food vendors in the amphitheater. And then there's some other ideas that would come to fruition. I know Chanel, who was just up here, has reached out about a potential black farmers market. So that's an idea. Couldn't guarantee that, but I think there's been some interest in her outreach. So the concept would be, yes, that we would have some funding available to do activities throughout the evening, and that would engage the community and the patrons in the park, and then hopefully keep them there.
The park, like up above also, or?
So that's still to be determined. Some of that will be determined, but depending on when we work the final logistics with the drone show, they have a safety zone. So where can we stage some of these activities? So we're not sure if we'd have the Lower Lagoon parking lot available. So if that could change the dynamic. So I'm not entirely sure if it would be the entire park, but some of that will be based on those conversations if we go the route with the drone vendor.
Where's the funding being pulled from?
The funding for the drone show is
No,
coming.
not the drone show, the additional programming.
That is from the ICEJA budget, which was actually reallocated from Streets Belong to Me event. So we were originally going to have a Streets Belong to Me event the Thursday after this.
Mm-hmm.
So we've decided to pool our resources rather than having two events within a week and pull funding from that event.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have some additional dollars that are in that were in the original fireworks budget. We had 31,500. So if this drone show goes through, which is 28,000, we'll have some additional funding from that for the event.
So I'm understanding that we'll do one less Streets Belong to Me in order to program this event.
It wouldn't be one less. It would just be reallocating the one from June 26th to
Okay, so
June
we'll-
19th.
We're
Okay,
just trading spots.
But yeah,
got it, got it. Okay. I'll chime in that. Oh, did you want to go ahead?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to make one particular comment. First of all, on last time when we discussed this about the fireworks and the drones, first of all, my environmental friends thinks that the drones are much better. My great grandson also told me that he thought the drones were better. Okay, so I get that. It wasn't the problem of doing the drones or the fireworks. My problem was that we had already had talked about all of this beforehand for the not Juneteenth, but the 3rd of July. The concern that I had was that when the drone subject came up, I was not aware of that on the day of we get ready to do this meeting. I thought a phone call from someone from the park district should have alerted me to that. I would have been prepared to also address, because I was thinking after we had talked to all the community leaders that the fireworks was what we had agreed, and I had called all of you also as well to state that. But then when we got to the meeting, there was a different flavor. Not that I was against drones, believe me. At this point, I couldn't. My own family would probably take me off because they all want drones too, the kids. So, and it does tell a story, and I get that. It's not the problem. It's just the idea. I just like to be properly prepared. And this was some of the problems that I had when we had the situation with Deadwater Park during the Trump situation came up. A phone call to me would have been sufficient, but no one here told me that. So therefore, I was just taken back when I had to hear things right at the day of the meeting. And each of you probably wouldn't want to come to a board meeting and something else is discussed that we had already talked about. That was my concern. But the drones is okay. I can support the drones. We're still going to do it at the Glen Oak Park, and it will take them. But that was my only concern, that when we discuss things and then we change in the middle of the, mid-sea, start changing things, and I wasn't aware. Just that, well, Mr. Johnson, we talked about, we got a call, there's drone situation came up, what we do, and then you've been prepared when you get to the meeting. Otherwise, I'm thinking that you don't want to do this anyway, and then other things come in and it caused the problem. So with that being said,
Well, if I can I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. I mean, I will echo you and say I think we've all agreed. We'd
Yeah.
just like to be informed. I want to say that I'm just excited that we are bringing something back to the East Bluff community that's
Correct.
going to be an anchor to the community. Personally, I am indifferent. I do, I love the drone concept. It was a regional draw, and when we did it on the riverfront, it brought thousands of people. So I'm excited to increase that patronage of that park, possibly by doing a drone show. That really is going to be just electrify the community. I do also want to say that when we originally discussed not having an event on July 3rd, it was with the understanding that there were concerns about hosting an evening event. And so I do want us to just strongly encourage us to continue our conversations with the police department and with the police for the school district as well, because we are getting ready to have another evening event, right? And what I don't want to happen is we move forward with this, and then it is brought back to us in a different narrative of the event in an evening was the issue, yet we're moving forward now with an evening event. So what I'm saying is two things. One, I'm extremely excited that we're bringing an event to East Bluff that's going to just further engage the surrounding community in the region at large. Two, I just want us to also be mindful of the original concerns when we talked about not having a July 3rd event as well, and keep that in mind as we talk about the operations and some mechanics of a event. But I am on board with supporting a drone show. I'm excited.
Wasn't the concern the police presence, the ability
Well, I
to
think
properly staff it?
I think there were several concerns, and that was one concern too.
Which I think was why we were looking
Because
at
of the
Juneteenth.
July 3rd and 4th
Because-
together back to back.
Mhm.
Right. So the date was specific?
I'm saying that two things are true, and that the staffing was an issue, but there was also a concern of having an evening event in general.
Okay, well, I had gotten the impression from the city that we had alleviated that concern. So I just want to make that clear that
Oh, that-
from that perspective, they
Mhm.
don't see any issue with what we're doing.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I'm happy
sure
you
that's
got
fair.
that impression.
Yeah.
I just, again, one of the concerns was hosting an evening event, and on top of the personnel issue that you just raised too.
okay. I just don't want to put out concerns that aren't anymore. Does that make sense? Like, if,
Well, I can't say, I don't want to get down that pathway because I don't know what conversations you're having, and I know I haven't really talked, I have been a part of those conversations either. What I'm just saying is one of the concerns on top of the personnel concern that you just raised was hosting an evening event, and we are moving forward with an evening event.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
okay, it
I-
seems like
yeah,
it was cleared up. I just
It's
don't want to
clear.
put that out
We
there.
did have a
talked about this
conversation.
last month.
Yeah, we had a conversation with the
We
mayor.
talked
She's on
about this
board.
last month.
The city is on board,
Exactly,
with
she
it,
was.
right? Yeah, we did. That was the other thing that kind of we was getting on. But yeah, they're going to support us and they're going to be there. So, all right. Okay. Yes. I'm sorry. Two people over
Oh,
here. I'm sorry.
Just one quick thing, Nick, I appreciate your information, and I just want to put my hope in that if we can find extra dollars to put to this, and that we do it the right way and not skimp,
Bless you.
There you go.
that, because I don't want to sit in a meeting where we say, oh, well, we can only do, if we only had another $500 or we had another $1,000, I don't want to sit through that, because we want to have a signature event on June 19th, because we are, it's really exciting to think about that we are going to collectively market all of the Juneteenth events in our area together, and it will culminate with this event. So it has to be a signature event, and we can't, I don't think we can try to penny pinch it, I guess.
Yeah, and I think we completely agree as a staff with that assessment. And there's always a fear of the unknown when you're doing an event for the first time. I mean, you just don't know what to expect. You don't know what you don't know. I'm confident with the promotion and that, as you alluded to, the unified marketing between all of the Juneteenth events, that not only will it help us, I think it'll help the other Juneteenth events, really highlighting the great events and celebrations we have in the community. One other note specific to the drone show, and I know many of you have seen at least one, if not both, of the drone shows on the riverfront. The drone light shows are probably one of the only things in the event industry where the prices have been decreasing due to the increased supply from various vendors. For perspective, our first year of Parkapalooza, we did a 300 drone light show. The cost was $74,000. Last year we did a 300 drone show. Cost was $55,000. So this year, and then for what we're proposing, 250 drone shows. So not quite as much, but still, I don't think it'll be that noticeable. Cost is down to 28,000. So we're pretty thankful that there's even an option within our budget, because I think 2 years ago this would have been way out of our price range. So I think that's a nice thing, that even though we are bringing a drone show, we're not bringing a significantly different drone show than what the community is accustomed to on the riverfront.
So I'll second Tim's motion.
And if I can just say,
Yeah,
you know,
I thought you had a question. Yes.
yeah, I like drone shows, but I'm not as wowed by drone shows as I am by fireworks. But I'm probably going to be the only voice here tonight talking about fireworks. But the question I have about the drones, what did we pay for fireworks? What did we have budgeted for fireworks this year?
We had $31,500 between the fireworks and ancillary entertainment for that event.
So, and there was probably, the last time we paid for fireworks was like 21.
It was
Something like
I'd have
that.
to double check the amount. I think it was actually closer to 25,000.
Okay.
But that was a very rushed. Remember, we struggled to find a vendor, so we were able to find one kind of
And you had to pay extra to do
Yeah,
to-
we
to get
did.
them in.
And then this year, the two bids that we got for fireworks were both for 28,000, which honestly surprised us a little bit, because this wasn't tied to the July 4th holiday. So we thought we might have better pricing, but that, for whatever reason, was not the case.
So it's maybe a little higher than what you expected to have to pay. So you have less available to pay on the activities that are going on. Will there be other activities similar to last year, say around the Founders Day, like the Founders Day activity? Is that going on this year?
That would not under our current proposal for this year.
Okay. I just want to make sure that there's enough events there in Glen Oak, and so we've reduced it from 2 events to 1 event in
So we
the
actually,
Glen Oak
to
area.
answer that, we
East
came up
Bluff.
with the inventory of programming and events, special events that would be in Glen Oak Park in 2025. So you have Worldwide Day of Play, which is Mother's Day weekend. That's also the combination Be Anything. We're doing a Parks on Tap at Luthi. We're supporting the One Peoria event, which is the backpack giveaway. That's the Jahan Gordon Booth event in July. There will be 10 different rec and roll events that happen that are those after school activities that Glen Oak Park is one of those 6 parks where that happens. And also the investment of Lantern Festival that we work on making that accessible for families, Zootober. And then we're hoping, pending a grant application that we've submitted, to expand our Luthi Lights Christmas effort too. So
Okay, are these more activities than what we've had in the past? Or are they the same?
the
same
addition
number
of,
of
certainly
activities that
the
we're having.
addition of lanterns and expanding Christmas is more than we did in 2024, or we are anticipating that.
Well, they're expansions, but there are still the same types of activities in that area, which, may draw East Bluff people, but really draw more of a regional draw.
So the rec
And
and
I'm
roll,
really just
the
talking
rec and
about
roll,
activities that are going on on the East Bluff for the East Bluff
so
community.
rec and roll, certainly the 10 times of having that recreational programming to drop in is a big piece that is specific to East Bluff. Don't forget the Summer of Fun, where all the families who have public school kids and private school kids who are free lunch accessible, they have free access to the
Well,
zoo
again,
and
really,
the
those are
playhouse.
activities that we've offered in the past.
Hmm.
I just want to make sure we're not reducing.
I don't think we are, and if you add Juneteenth to that event, I think that there's a significant event investment in Glen Oak Park.
And is the fishing derby on the same day of?
It is as
Okay.
Worldwide Day of Play, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Just before we vote, how are we going to proceed in terms of the process to plan this event? Because you're going to be working with Yanni. What is our engagement as a board? Are we going to have somebody, a trustee, who's part of that process, or several, or how do we want to do that? Because I think we need to have that engagement from the trustee level in that.
I think that's absolutely your preference, and you need to give us that direction. Certainly, our intent is to reach out to that group that convened a month ago, right? Let them know the vote and the outcome of tonight's discussion, and schedule a meeting to begin the process of the joint promotion and that marketing effort, and thinking about those collaboration efforts. And then we will work on the event planning as part of our signature event, community event. So you tell us how you would like to participate, and we'll make that happen.
Well, yeah, that's what we always do. I get what you're saying, but staff is the one more qualified to do that, not the board. I mean, we let it be known what what we want, and you guys are good at what you do. You are. I just told you that before, but so I want to leave that to you. I'm not going to go out and plan myself. No. But if there was a problem, we will let you. If there's anything on my heart, I'll let you know. I do. I just don't. I'm just that way. That's my makeup. If there was a problem, you would know about it. Or for me, for that go. But I trust you. You guys done very well. But I would have to agree with Trustee Haran that we want this a class act. This is a park district, Peoria Park District. and we are second to none. You know, so it's got to be a class act. I mean, that's all I'm saying. And and I believe you all understand that.
I guess my thought process is just to make sure that we're engaging with the Yanni Collective on their ideas. What about the East Bluff stakeholders? So sometimes there needs to be a more formal process for that everybody's aware of, so that you can know the ideas that are being tossed around and what's working and what isn't working. That's my only, I think, like President Johnson, we don't want to hear anecdotally XYZ and then, have to backtrack in that's my only thinking, is that we can be intentional about how we proceed with that in a more, the staff absolutely are the experts, and you need to be advising what's realistic and what's innovative and all that, but somehow to mesh it then with opinions of other stakeholders.
I think the stakeholders, but I don't think that, they know what the budget is, what everything costs.
I agree.
I just think the staff is the experts on that. And I think having, just finding out what people want is a good idea, but I don't know that you can plan any event with people like us that really are not event planners.
I'm not suggesting I'm doing that.
I understand you
obviously
want
not
the
stating
community
what
involved,
what I mean,
and I
but
think
that's
we've
okay.
answered most of those questions with the stakeholders. Okay. Well, it's been told, you heard, been said. Was there a second?
Yeah.
Trustee Sarah. Question. Roll call.
Trustee Burchey?
Aye.
Trustee Covington?
Aye.
Trustee Harrod?
Aye.
Trustee Montez?
Aye.
Trustee Sierra?
Aye.
Vice President Hill?
Aye.
President Johnson?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Okay, we have some calendar of consent items, 9A and B. Is there anyone that want to take one off or anything? I'd like to remove 9A. Okay. Is there a motion for the other?
President
9B.
Johnson, I'll move to approve 9B.
Second.
Question? Roll call?
Trustee Burchey?
Aye.
Trustee Covington?
Aye.
Trustee Harrod?
Aye.
Trustee Montez?
Aye.
Trustee Sierra?
Aye.
Vice President Hill?
Aye.
President Johnson?
Aye, motion carries.
Thank you.
The question I have on the park shutter, can I get some clarification? I was approached at a forum that I was at about this issue. Who owns Columbia Park? Who owns it? Is that Peoria Park District? Is that the school district?
So
Or what is the,
the park itself, it's a portion of it the Peoria Park District owns. Then there's an alley, like a vacated alley that the city owns. And then there's the school district owns a part. So when you think of that block with the library on it, they're three separate owners right through there. So that was part of what Joyce had mentioned before, that she'd heard through that the school district was possibly interested in I'd say getting rid of some of their parcels. So then we're in communication to see if that's an option, if they'd be interested in turning it over to the park district.
so 3 different entities own that park,
Plus the library. So
plus the library.
right,
And the park district's role is in this,
we maintain that whole space for the neighborhood to use.
okay, we maintain it, but we don't own it.
We own part of it.
Which part do we own?
The part with the playground on it, like the front part
Well, the
toward
front
McClure.
part with the playground, that belongs to the Peoria Park District.
That's us. Then
Then
the-
back by the back of the library and on, is there a little creek or something back there I saw?
Front,
That land, when it gets dirty, if it's filthy, that's not our responsibility.
that's not ours.
Or the parts back there near it, the land that bounces up against that.
That's-
Do we mow any of that down that way? Maintain it,
We take care of the big green space.
the green space. So we take care of all of the green space
Correct.
and their entire, but we don't own, but just the part with the,
Correct.
okay, all right. And we'll continue to maintain it. Now, who's putting all the the information along the park on the Lynn Street side. Is that Lynn Street or is that?
The walking trail book
Yeah, the books.
thing, we've worked with the library to install those, and they maintain them.
We installed them.
We worked with them to install those along the path. Mm-hmm.
Did we pay for those?
They would have. Yeah,
They would, but we maintain them.
Yes.
We do all the maintenance of that park.
they replace the books or whatever it is within them. They take care of that. But it's just for the neighborhood to use.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, I get that. All right. Well, okay. I just wanted some clarification because I was
Right.
kind of
So this,
stuck.
yeah, and this is the park that we're going to do some redevelopment on. So you'll start seeing some,
See, and that's the
Additional.
other issue.
Right.
But we're doing the redevelopment, but we don't own it.
well, we own the part that we're redeveloping.
That we're redeveloping.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the shelter will go on our parcel and the new playground will go on our parcel.
But the cutting of the grass, the keeping it up, all of that is our
Yes,
responsibility.
We
We've
do
been
that.
doing Okay.
yes,
With our dollars.
yes.
Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
I just want to be clear. Okay. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Question. Roll call?
Trustee Burchey?
Aye.
Trustee Covington?
Aye.
Trustee Harrod?
Aye.
Trustee Montez?
Aye.
Trustee Sierra?
Aye.
Vice President Hill?
Aye.
President Johnson?
Aye. Do we have any pending business?
No.
Is there citizens to address the board? We see the communications.
So just as a note on that communication, we will have that on the agenda at a strategy meeting in March. Mike Freeberg, land manager, will provide us with some history and background, and we will talk about the park district's position as requested by Mr. Lease.
Okay. Now, the other, I do 13A.
Before we,
I-
could I, just for
Other business?
other business,
Okay.
just, I would like to request that at a strategy meeting, that we have an item to discuss about, since we've gotten rid of most of the committees, I just feel like we're not being very, effective. We have lots of different issues and projects, and we don't really, we sort of learn about things late. And so,
True that.
and I think when we moved from the committee process, we, at least some of us who were involved in a particular committee knew about different things. So I just think there's something more that we need than what we have right now.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thanks for bringing that forth. That was.
Yeah.
All righty.
Mr. President, do we have a closed session tonight?
Well, yeah, but I was going to ask, is that
I have
concerning?
something I want to say before that.
Okay.
Go ahead, though. You're our president. You want to say something?
Well, this was concerning the evaluation. Is that what we want to discuss tonight? Yeah, is that what? Yes, that's what I said. And I was going to ask the board if we could postpone this tonight, so that I can attend it. I won't be able to make it this evening for this, and it's very important. Yeah, it's this evening. And I was wondering if we could, if you all would agree with me to postpone this, then we could set another time and date, if that's possible. That
Fine by
all the
me.
board is there as all the board members could be there.
I have no quorum with that. Fine by me.
Fine by me.
Oh, okay, great. I appreciate it. Now, your question.
Yeah, I want to make a comment. And this kind of came up at the last minute. I didn't really prepare this much, but Emily made a presentation tonight on our park district strategic plan. And in it, she mentioned under core commitments and pillars, number one is diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And it struck me, and I just want to make this comment. The last month or so, we've seen in our country a coordinated and well thought out attack against principles of DEIA. It is, I think, against the spirit of America. I think it is irreligious. I think it is mean-spirited. I think it is cynical, and I could go on. I want to express my pride at having the opportunity to serve on the board of an organization that is not afraid in today's world to speak out in its support of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, and that rejects this attack that's taking place on this, and that rejects the philosophy that is behind this. You know, I know that we have our differences as board members from time to time on this or that, but I consider myself fortunate to serve on a board and to serve with staff members that celebrate diversity, that recognize the need for equity in our community, and that is committed to achieving that equity. We see today many other actors in our country and in our community, whether they're political or corporate, that feel a need to back away from prior commitments to what's right, namely principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I am particularly proud that we are not doing so, and that we will not do so. I mean, we express tonight, as we have in the past, but we express tonight in this world that I'm talking about, our recommitment to the pillars of DEIA. And we've said that we consider them to be not just important values, but our values. We say that we're committed to these. We say that we are not abandoning these. In fact, far from abandoning them, we're going to pursue them even further. And again, make that our number one, as you phrased it here, our number one core commitment and pillar. And I just want our community to be well aware that that is where we stand as a park district, and that is where we stand as trustees, where we stand as a staff, and these are principles that we will not back off from.
Amen.
I certainly do applaud your effort that the Park District's doing that. And that's true. That's what we've been trying to do. And we do still have we do have some issues in that department, though. I feel also as well. I'm glad you brought that forward. And we will definitely be discussing those as we go along, but thank you for that. We do, and you're right. That's where we all want to go. But there's always room for improvement. That's what I'm saying. But thank you. I appreciate that. All right. All right. Okay. Any action steps reviews?
We'll make the edits to the strategic plan as discussed, and I'll send that back out to everybody. I will be reaching out to the Juneteenth group to set up a next meeting, and we'll talk about who wants to participate at that level. And then we had some items to add to future agendas that we will work on adding.
And also the postponement of 8A. The deferral of 8A.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
I
sorry.
need to set
Defer
up another
8A.
time frame. Is anyone open to a day that we all can get together to discuss this?
Can the staff just send out some options?
Can you do that?
Sure. Separate from the next board meeting, or?
Do you guys want to wait 2 more weeks? Or you have time? I don't know what your schedules are. It's up to you. I mean, it's your favor to set up a meeting so we all can be at one time. We have to notice it.
Right.
Next board meeting.
Next board meeting's okay? Okay. Next board meeting. Thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you all. Also, thank you all again. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.